listening to Quality and Clarity Radio.
What is going on, lovely people of South Africa and the rest of the world listening? I go by the name of Dimisha Matahane, and you are tuned into episode 5 of season 1 of Quality and Clarity Radio. So, firstly, I just want to thank everybody for the constant, patience towards releases. At first, you guys were hungry, but I just want to express my gratitude in everybody's patience and understanding in episode releases. I understand that I haven't been consistent throughout the whole of the season, but yeah, I'm finding my feet, and that kind of brings me to the topic of today: giving yourself time. And why did I pick this particular topic to talk about? I feel like most of my episodes are inspired by something that happens particularly on the day of me recording. Like, I don't think there's ever been a day, apart from I think episode 1 and 2, mainly episode 1 though, apart from episode 1, I think there's never been an episode where I actually ended up releasing the original idea. And that's kind of what shapes this podcast into such a special thing. I feel like it's something special, regardless of the streaming numbers being low and whatnot. I do feel like there's something special about what goes into the episodes. I value the process more than the product itself, and that's mainly because I always give myself time and I learn from my mistakes. I used to go into a recording session with no script and a very minor idea of what I'm actually talking about, and that kind of caused me to go down this spiral of repeating myself and saying things the way I wouldn't want to say them, just expressing myself to the most little degree possible. And what brings me to today's topic in terms of giving yourself time is I actually recorded, I think 3 other episodes. And in the process of recording those 3 episodes, I ended up deleting them. But in the process of recording those 3 episodes, I realized that, either I'm not happy with the product, or I'm not happy with the process, or I'm not happy with the topic I chose to speak about, or the topic doesn't really resonate with me, or I just feel like listeners wouldn't care. It's just a lot of factors that go into an episode being released. But yeah, that's not why you're here. I just want to talk about how, being an artist takes time and it's a process. My first point will be that you won't get it right the first time, right? And before I actually dive into things, I just want to say that in the process of recording all these episodes, I went through kind of like a breakdown, sort of, like just now. In fact, like 5 minutes ago, I just went through a breakdown of like, yo, this is another episode that I'm recording that I'm failing at recording, And nothing is more painful than an artist feeling like what they imagine is not coming out how they want it to, be expressed. But what led me to choosing this topic? What caused me to end up at this point? So I kind of just zoned out and realized that I'm failing myself. You know what I mean? Because it's a constant mistake that I make, that I'll choose a topic, then when I talk about it, I feel overwhelmed or underwhelmed. I'm just not comfortable with what I'm talking about, And there came a moment where I realized that, okay, now is kind of just a moment where I need to really learn from this mistake that I'm constantly making and learn from it. Instead of me sulking and complaining about the situation, let me actually understand what the problem is, learn from it, so that I can perfect my craft. And how I got to the conclusion of choosing this topic is I watched a compilation of a YouTuber. Well, the YouTube channel name is Creative Minds. I'll put the link in the YouTube version of this episode. But I watched a video where it started with Mac Miller talking about the importance of giving yourself time and letting everything ease itself out instead of you as an artist stressing it to be stressed out. The most easy and efficient and effective way of letting art speak its truth is kind of just letting the creases naturally soothe out instead of kind of just forcing it to straighten out, because that's when the material will burn and it won't be the quality that you're looking for. And for me to realize this, it took a lot of courage, it took a lot of pain, it took tears, it took a lot mentally just to understand that I'm not going to get it right the first time and I should give myself time. Give yourself time to learn, give yourself time to explore, give yourself time to understand what you're being inspired by, give yourself time to actually gain inspiration. You're not going to get it right the first time, you're not going to get it right the second time, but when you do get it right, it's going to be a point in your life where you've learned enough, you've failed enough, you've made enough mistakes to understand that, okay, this is the route I'm supposed to take, as opposed to perfecting at the same time. And that's kind of what makes success so significant, because you understand what it really takes to end up at the position that you've ended up in. And I don't really want to make this episode too long, but I do feel like it's important to give yourself time and to understand that I'm not gonna get it right the first time. Let it all ease out, because art is a process. Art is not something that comes naturally. It's kind of, no, I mean to rephrase that. Art is not something that is forced. It comes naturally, yeah. Art comes naturally. You need to, it's just like creativity. Creativity is what you draw to yourself. It's not what you were drawn to. You can't force creativity. You need to kind of just let your internal thoughts and your inspiration kind of just let everything fall into place. And that leads me to my next point, that you need to kind of be patient, because if you pay attention to the greatest artists of all time, it's people who have given their art time, people who are patient with a single work of art, people who did not rush anything, but they gave the process time to mature, the process time to grow. And that's really all it takes, to be honest. Just let the process grow into what it has to grow into, because I feel as every idea, every piece of creation has already been written in the universe, but inspiration is kind of a puzzle piece that has to be connected to a puzzle for that creation to be expressed through its outlet, and that outlet finds itself, and if you are that outlet, then you are the person who is chosen by the universe to express that thought or that piece of creativity or just that idea. You know what I mean? So if you give it time, give yourself time to learn more, expand your knowledge, gain inspiration, let your art grow, then I think that your art will find its wings with time. Which kind of just leads me to my closing point, that in all the episodes that I've recorded that I felt went horribly, I can look back at them and say, okay, I really loved recording that episode, or it's just an episode that I can actually sit down and listen to, in terms of production, in terms of the quality, in terms of the content, the context. Like, it goes back to the deeper meaning of the actual artwork, because if I didn't give myself time, if I didn't give the art time, it would have just been any other episode. But because there was so much significance in terms of the stress and pain that went into each episode, it has that significant value as well. So just to, close off, if you ever feel like your art is not having the significance you feel that it deserves, it's probably because you're not giving it time. You're not giving yourself time. And you kind of just need to be patient in the process, because nothing comes easy. You have to make a sacrifice. Either, it's going to be a sacrifice of emotion, it's going to be a sacrifice of patience. There has to be some sort of hardship you have to go through for your art to be beautiful. And although it might not be a battle that may be seen, but it can be a battle that may be felt. But the most beautiful pieces of art always have a battle, and that battle will always be measured by time, which is why you should give yourself time. And just to close off, finally, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's listened to every episode, those who have engaged, those who have shared every episode, because seeing how hard it is to actually make an episode and not really underestimating the process, I kind of appreciate the work more, which is another point I want to make, that if I didn't put so much work into these episodes, then each listen wouldn't be as significant, because I put pain into these episodes and inspiration that I take everywhere. I put that into this little recording on my desk, and for someone to want to sit down and listen to that is very special. Whether it's one person or it's 300 people, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, art is an expression of life, and this is just my way of expressing my life. So if someone wants to give attention to something that I do, then that's already special in itself. So this is me, Dumisho, signing out, and I hope that this is one of those episodes where you actually learned that you're not going to do anything perfectly, and you need to come to terms with that. You need to accept it. So just give yourself time to actively work towards something without rushing it, and for once you'll really feel that this is all a process. Thank you for listening. Stay safe.